Welcome to Behind the Crown Podcast with your hosts, Bryan Hutson and Josh Griffin. Sit back and enjoy these great stories and memories of the Kingsmen Quartet.
Welcome to Behind the Crown Podcast, Part 2 with Johnny Parrack. This is your host, Josh Griffin and Bryan Hutson. Welcome, everybody.
Josh, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. How about you, sir?
Doing well. Well, this is part 2 of our episode with the legendary Johnny Parrack. We had a great visit with him last week, and I hope everybody's going to enjoy this next episode. We got a lot more funny stories, man. He told a ton of funny stories that I'd never heard before, and but I talked about last week about Johnny. You know, the word legend in gospel music gets thrown around a lot. And but
yes,
truly, Johnny Parrack is absolute legend, man, in gospel music and the Kingsmen, but Johnny, it's so good to see you, man. Thanks for coming back again this week,
man. It's good to be here.
Yeah,
man. We thoroughly enjoyed your stories last week. I think. Well, I tell you what, Josh, hold on, I forgot about useless information. You have us a piece of useless information for this week, Josh.
I do. Yeah,
okay.
I do. A jiffy is an actual unit of time. It's 1/100th of a second.
A jiffy?
Yes, right.
I'll see you in a jiffy?
That's right.
Okay. Well,
I can't move that fast. Can you?
No, not anymore. My bad knees. I can't move that fast.
You know, I've got one thing to say about that.
Uh-oh.
That I think the term that y'all use, useless information, fits.
Yeah.
Because about the couple you talked about last week that played Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse.
Yeah.
That didn't excite me. And to know how fast a jiffy is, that doesn't either. So you're right. No. It's useless information.
Oh, yeah.
We've done our job.
My wife loves, because I'll be watching a TV show, because I'm a huge fan of Andy Griffith. I love Andy Griffith. I watch it almost every day. And if I see an actor on an old movie or an old Western or something, I'll say, I know I've seen that actor someplace. And it'll drive me crazy. I'll have to look it up. And my wife says, why do you care what that actor was on? Why do you care? I said, because I have to know. So especially if they were on the Andy Griffith show, I'll say, well, that guy was so-and-so on the Andy Griffith show. She'll say, why do you care about that? I said, I'm a typical man. I have useless information. I have useless, in my brain. So we thought we'd add that to the podcast. We want to pass out more useless information every week. So anyway, well, Johnny, we kind of had left off with the last thing we talked about last week. We talked about food that was brought on the bus and things, you love to eat. And you shared a story about, you had to eat 2 meals within an hour of one another. So the question we have is, what was things that you dreaded that made you cringe that people brought to the bus, like food-wise? Was there anything particularly like, oh, no, not that again?
Yeah, green beans.
Green beans. Okay.
I can't stand green beans.
Okay.
And, and broccoli casserole. I hurt people's feelings, I guess, but I'm sorry. Nobody said I had to eat that. And I'll tell you something else I don't care for. And I think I only do it because somewhere it's been ingrained in my mind. It's got to be a law that you have to eat turkey for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I don't like turkey.
Yeah.
I'm not a poultry lover.
Okay.
Now, if it's grilled chicken, I like, but I don't do chicken and dumplings.
Okay.
I can't stand baked or boiled chicken, and the only way I'll eat that turkey, is smoked.
Okay.
I just don't like baked poultry.
Well, for me, turkey's really dry. And if I have to eat it, man, I have to dump a ton of gravy on it just so I can suck it down. I mean, it's just dry, and I just never been a big turkey fan.
Well, that's like meatloaf.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If it wasn't for ketchup, I wouldn't eat it. As far as I'm concerned, meatloaf like Alpo.
Man, that's a visual right there. That's a visual.
I'm telling you.
Well, you speak about
used to make it.
You speak about turkey. Y'all need to marinate it and fry it like we do down here in South Georgia.
Yeah, I have had it deep fried. I've had it deep fried. It's pretty good.
I ate suppose it was supposed to be a Cajun deep fried turkey.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think they forgot part of the season. It was tasteless to me.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
That's funny. That is funny.
Oh, mercy. Well, let's do it. Going back to singing wise, Johnny, when did you know that singing Southern gospel music was something that you wanted to do as a full-time job? Was there a
Well,
certain moment?
I don't know if there was a particular moment I wanted to do it full time. I knew I always wanted to do it.
Uh-huh.
And as I shared last week, how I got started in it, I mean, I just loved it. To me, I'd go to church and they'd sing out of that old Broadman or Baptist hymn. I thought, man, where's Just a Little Talk with Jesus, or those kind of songs, and quartet songs here. And I didn't care for that. I didn't care for music at all, and because I didn't grow up in it. So early in life, I always wanted to sing. Every time I'd go hear these guys on stage, I wish I was up there.
Wow.
So I guess it's always been that what I always wanted to do, and finally I got to do that. The Lord let me do it. So.
Wow.
Good.
Well, let me ask you a question about, we asked you about, I think last week, about people that you like to hear singing, and this ain't on the program, but I'm going to add it. If you could pick 3 other singers and make a dream quartet, and you can get somebody that's passed on, you can get somebody currently. If you could pick 3 singers to do one song, who would you pick? What 3 singers would you pick?
Wow, that's tough. That's tough. There's a lot of good ones today. I still like to hear. You remember Roy McNeil?
Oh yes, great singer.
I heard him when I was a kid. They sang with the Rangers Trio, and he sang tenor.
Yeah,
and he was good with them. He sang lead for a while with the Prophets.
right.
And now where I really enjoyed him, I think, was he sang lead for the Statesmen for a while.
Yeah,
they recorded an album. I mean, I really enjoyed him, and I liked his singing. He just had a night. And Jack Toney.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say Jack Toney.
Man, he was such a smooth lead singer.
Yeah.
And it would, for one of those 2, I think I'd have him singing lead.
Okay.
Baritone. Doyot was smooth as they came.
Oh yeah.
Eldridge was a good country baritone singer. I mean, he was strong, but he was country. But he was a great singer.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because he was my boss, but he was. And I like Doyot. I'm trying to think of another that was a good baritone. I always used to say that when I was growing up, there's 2 things. The 2 favorite parts of the group was the tenor and the bass, and the other 2 parts were the lead and the baritone. And they just hoped they had a job next week when the bus left.
Yeah.
So that's the way I'd always introduce a certain song I used to sing. But I'd probably pick one of those 2. There's so many. And there was good singers. That'd be hard to do.
Yeah.
I liked Burl Streble was a good bass singer. Burl Streble was a good friend. I liked him.
Yeah.
And George. Well, you've asked a hard question. Really is. Jay Cass formed the Imperials, and he put together a great group.
Yeah.
And Jim Murray, back in the days, was a tremendous tenor singer. I actually went to music school with him one year.
Really? Okay.
He did Frank Stamps Music School in Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
And we signed each other's songbook, and I signed my name, wrote tenor singer, and he signed his name, wrote tenor singer. and we always, and the only time I ever worked with Jim, when they were the Imperials, other than the Quartet convention,
right?
I think it was in Greenville, South Carolina, and was with them. And of course, that was a treat. And of course, I knew Jim, and we talked a long time, and we were friends, things like that. So that would be a hard question to do, to pull up a group. Rosie was a good singer. Bill Shaw was so smooth. But there was another tenor singer that I really liked, and I can't remember now what his name was. I tell you another good tenor singer, he's still alive. That's Dwayne Nicholson.
Yeah.
And So it would be hard to choose, but I would pick some of those.
Okay.
I would have to go with Anthony Berger to play the piano.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that guy was so phenomenal.
Yeah.
He played on one of my solo albums. He blew my mind.
Wow.
And it was such a treat to do that. But I used to, believe it or not, when I was a kid, I thought if I could pick my favorite quartet, who would I do? And back then it was J. Cass and I don't remember who the baritone singer. I had JD for bass and you know, those kind of things. I did all of these guys were my friends, and that's the better part of it. It would be really hard to pick out my three favorites to sing.
Yeah.
And the others, you know, I don't want to leave anybody out. I don't want to hurt anybody, anything like that. But I think if I was going to do it, I'd probably go with Jack Toney, maybe Dwayne Nicholson, and of course Neil Inlow's another one. He's a good singer, and I would probably pick either George or Burl. Burl Strebel was a better bass singer. A lot of people gave him credit for.
Yeah,
he didn't do a lot of the show stuff, but he was solid. He was always there. So I'm gonna leave that question answered just like that.
That's a good answer, though. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to I would have loved to have heard you with Jack Toney. And I would have loved that because he's one of my favorite lead singers of all time, for sure. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
that's right. Johnny, in your years with the Kingsmen, or when you were a soloist, was there a special moment on stage that God really showed up and just used you to bless the crowd, or just took over and just blessed the service that you would like to share?
You know, yes, I would. Even back now, let me preface that question. I didn't grow up in church. I grew up in gospel music.
Yeah.
And when I was a teenager, I was going to church because the pastor had two good-looking daughters, and that's the truth. And so to impress it, you know, somewhere along the line, I did what we Baptists called a profession of faith.
Okay.
And was baptized. But when that pastor left, the next pastor moved in, had two boys. Well, I wasn't about to sit back there and hold their hands. So I might sing high, but I'm not funny. And so I forgot all about church. And then I wound up singing with the Kingsmen. I didn't get saved. I didn't become a Christian until 1981, when I was on staff at a church, full time, leading music and youth director. Now, music I could do, but I knew nothing about being youth director, but I had a good group. But anyway, that's when I got saved. So now I'll go back and answer your question. Just like God used Balaam's donkey to talk back to Balaam, I can look back in the times of the Kingsmen when he used us. I'll never forget. I've never forgot this to this day. I had just joined the Kingsmen. We were singing in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and at a school. Coy Cook and the Senators were there, and maybe another group. And we sang. I was just scared to death. You know, I hadn't been there a month, maybe a couple. Okay. And a teenage girl walked up to our table, and she asked me if I could tell her how to get saved.
Wow.
I had no clue how to do that.
Wow. Nobody
had ever asked me that.
Yeah.
I didn't know. And I said, I don't know, but we'll go back here and talk about it. So we went back someplace, just away from the crowd, not out of sight, but just, we talked about it. And I don't know what I said to her, but she got saved there.
Wow.
I mean, she asked the Lord into her heart. She went to crying. And so, and I'll never forget this. I went back and told the guys what happened, and Foxy was thrilled.
Yeah.
And go, now you got to understand, we're all worldly, but God still used that.
Yeah.
And so Hamill wanted to bring the girl out on the platform and introduce her, tell her what got saved. Well, her mom and daddy showed up about that time. And her daddy wouldn't let him. He didn't like it. He didn't like it one bit.
Wow.
He got mad and they left. We were down there later, and the whole family came back to see us.
Wow.
They had all gotten saved.
Wow.
And they were serving in a church. I never saw them again to this day. I never know what happened to her. And so there are times, and it happened at other times.
Mm-hmm.
We sang at a church one Sunday morning, and it was one of those, we had sung in Atlanta the night before. I think it was Birmingham. We got in late, got up early the next morning, and I remember what Hamill said, well, guys, said, we're all tired. We're going to tell this preacher we'll sing 2 or 3 songs, let him preach that little old sermonette he's been practicing on. We'll go home and go to bed. And of all things that happened, this really happened. The preacher walked out the bus that morning and said, boys, I got laryngitis. Y'all going to have to take the whole service. Well, good. Guess who did most of the singing?
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
Hamill couldn't sing. He was tired, but it was one of those mornings God took over.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, we're all in the altar. I mean, the whole church is in the altar. And that pastor stood up and said, this is what we've been looking for right here is revival.
Wow.
Now, God used it.
Yeah.
I was still a heathen, and I had nothing to do with it, but I've never forgotten that day. I've never forgotten it. And and since then, yes, especially my solo career, after I got saved, I never was on the concert stage that much. I was primarily in churches.
Right.
I hadn't been 4 years away from the Kingsmen, so I was still had a lot of notoriety, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was being booked in a lot of churches to share my testimony.
Yeah.
And then I would sing a concert. And we saw multitudes of people saved in those first 3 years, lost church members. Because my wife grew up in church. She got saved 3 weeks before I did. We were baptized together. And
wow. That's great.
Baptist Church, Mickey, Tennessee in 1981. And so that's where it all started. So to answer your question, Josh, yeah, we had some great moments. Now, we had some moments too when, like you say, when something happened real good and you decide, well, we'll do this next time, and it didn't work, Yeah. So those times when God moved in, they were great. We sang one night on a comical but true side. We sung in Atlanta, Georgia, one of our first times to sing. I mean, that I was with them. And we sung and we hit. I mean, we were there with a bunch of big groups. Yeah. And I'm excited because it's my first time singing Atlanta, Georgia. And all of a sudden, these people gave us a standing ovation. And I'm excited. I'm going through the roof over this.
Yeah.
So Hamill decides to call another song.
Okay.
And when he did, it went flat. He realized he'd made a mistake.
Yeah.
He said, boys, from now on, I don't care if they get up on the first song, we leave the stage. Yeah. The very next week, we sang. You remember Rosie Roselle and the Searchers?
Yeah, yeah.
His group, we sang with Rosie that next week. And this was a song where this was a place in South Carolina where he was very popular.
Okay.
And so we sung before he did because we were the first times there.
Yeah.
And we walked on the very first song, and it was full. And we sang The Dearest Friend I Ever Had.
Yeah.
Foxy had the lead, and Ray Dean had the bass in the chorus, and then I just ended it. And the very first song, they stood up. I mean, they went wild. We left.
Yeah.
And Hamill turned around, and we was all gone.
Yeah.
He said, where are you going? He was mad. You told us to get off the stage as soon as he stood up. Well, he had to laugh. I mean, one song and we're gone, buddy.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was one of those nights it didn't matter. We could have sung Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we just hit. And Hamill, I remember hollered out over the microphone to Rosie and said, Rosie, said, I'm sorry, but when you're hot, you're hot. And he said, yeah. And when you're not, you're not. So, yeah, we've had all those kind of pivotal moments. And there's a lot of funny ones. After we became number one in the industry, there was a guy out of Kentucky booked us. And I don't remember his name. I think he was a scammer. But he booked us on a Monday night in Kentucky. And this was up in the mountains. We showed up at this place in our brand new bus. We're the number one quartet in the nation as far as fan groups.
Right.
We show up, and it's raining, and it's a tabernacle. So we pull that bus right up against it, and we get off, and we can slide all our stuff without wet through all the way through. We set up, and I promise you, we had more people on stage than we had show up here that sing it.
Oh no!
Monday night, some little place in Kentucky where they didn't know who the Kingsmen were and didn't care.
Wow.
Well, you remember Foxy's hair?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
He was very vain. I mean, he would not go outside without either a cap or that hair on.
Oh yeah.
And the guy gets up, we're ready, and we're sitting on the bus, and he says, "And now the Kingsmen." Well, we make up our mind we're going to give them a full show.
Oh
we gave the money back. They gave them their money back, and we went after and sung the whole show. We run out there on stage and jump off that bus, keep from getting wet. We're singing, and right in the middle of the first song, I look over there. There's something wrong here, and Foxy had forgotten his hair.
Oh.
And we're singing just up a storm.
Yeah.
And Fox and I'm laughing. Hamill's laughing, and Foxy turns around and gives me a dirty look. What are y'all laughing about? And I top my head like this, and he reached up there, and when he felt it, he left the stage in the middle of the song, jumped back on the bus, put his hair on, and came back and finished the song. I promise.
Left in the middle of the song. Oh my!
Right in the middle of the song. So we've had all kinds of highlights.
Oh yeah, man, that's great. That is great.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever saw him. I hadn't been there very long, and Fox, we had a cabinet up in the front lounge of the bus, and he'd always put his hair up there, you know. And so, I got up middle of the night to go to the bathroom or something, and I walked up front, and there's this fella sitting in the front lounge, and he was in his whitey tighties. Hoping I can say that on the podcast. He was in his whitey tighties. He didn't have his teeth in, and he didn't have his hair on. I said, "Who's that old man sitting up there in the front of the bus with no clothes on?" And I realized it was Fox. So.
Well, the first time I was on the bus, I walked back to my bunk, and there's this man laying there, he's bald-headed, and I come back, and I said, "Folks, guys, there's someone on the bus that don't belong here." He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, there's a bald-headed man back there." They got tickled at me. It was Foxy. I didn't know what he looked like. I'd never seen him without hair.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Well, Johnny, we talked about Fox a minute ago, but we've had several Kingsman alumni that have passed away over the last several years, and a lot of these guys you were able to travel with. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna give you a kind of a list of names, and maybe give us some thoughts on some of these guys you travel with. And you got a special funny story you want to share about, you can do that too. And because, you know, the Kingsman family, you know, the old saying, once a Kingsman, always a Kingsman. We are truly a brotherhood and a family. And we, like I said, we've had a lot of pass away in the last several years. But how about Charles Avey? I know he was playing the piano for several years when you were there. So you have any thoughts on Charles?
Charles was, Charles was a great guy. He was a good piano player. He was a great stage piano player, and I always liked him. We got along fine. We never had any moment between us. I know that one time Foxy decided he wanted us to keep our bunks neat because people were coming on the bus and said, "You need to keep your bunk neat and make it be bed." Well, what we didn't know was when we got at the end of it, he hired my wife, said, "If you'll wash the sheets, I'll pay you." So she went and gathered. I took her up there and gathered the sheets off.
Yeah.
Well, Charles Avey, to keep his sheet neat, had tacked his sheet all the way around that bunk so it would stay tight all the time. We couldn't get it. He did that. He really did it. He stacked it. But you can imagine what it smelled like after a while. You know?
Yeah, I was going to say, man, that would be that. You want to stay away from that bunk for sure.
Yeah. But Charles Avey, we never lost touch. As a matter of fact, after I said a while ago when I got saved, he was going to Winkler's Grove Baptist Church where we used to sing a lot. And I got invited to go do a concert and share my testimony. He was there then. Of course, up until he died, he played the piano there.
Yeah.
So, he was a great guy.
How about Leonard Hollifield?
Yeah. Leonard Hollifield. He was class. Now, bluegrass, and but he was a great guitar picker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was low key as far as talking, but you couldn't help but like Leonard Hollifield.
Yeah.
He was Matter of fact, me and my wife went to see him, and I met his wife.
Okay.
And, he and his wife, the way you'd think, she was a fashion model
Okay.
for a
Wow.
magazine. I mean, wore the high class clothes, and so you couldn't put them together. I mean, Leonard Hollowfield didn't fit in that world. She didn't
Okay.
fit, but they were the sweetest couple you ever knew. And she was so nice. We went over to see him, and but Leonard Hollowfield, he could pick a guitar. He was good. I loved him, and we were real close friends. We
Wow,
were
good. Well, we had talked last week about Jim McCulley and the time that his pants dropped on the stage. So give us some thoughts on Jim McCulley.
Well, Jim McCauley, now he's a whole lot different duck than Leonard Hollowfield. He was a lot of fun, and he could get himself in a mess every once in a while, and like we went on our first tour that we went on. We had gone we'd gone full time, and we went to California. We was gone 3 weeks, and we got snowed in, and so we got snowed in just outside of Scott, Kansas, because Nick Bruno was going to drive the bus. So, well, boys, being from New York, I drove in snow.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've driven snow, and I grew up in Texas, but we still had snow, So
Right.
I thought, well, this is going to be good. Well, we were following this semi.
Okay.
And it was a 2-lane bridge. Well, semi-trailer set up high.
Yeah.
Those Eagle buses set low.
Yeah.
And there was, I don't know how many inches snow fell. I mean, it was 10, 12 inches of snow fell.
Wow.
We got stranded on this. He went across this 2-lane bridge, and Nick decided to wait before he did that. Well, he shouldn't have done that.
Okay.
We got in the middle of that bridge. We just got stranded in the high middle there, and we sat there 16 hours.
Oh my word!
16 long hours.
Wow.
And so, but McCauley, and I think it was Beaver.
Yeah.
Somebody, the town, we became the talk of Scott City, Kansas, where we were. And so 2 or 3 of them came out there on snowmobiles to check us out. They were getting their ride their snowmobile. Well, we were getting hungry, so Jim McCauley took it on himself, and we handed a bunch of money, go buy a bunch of food.
Yeah.
Well, Jim decided he was cold up there, so he decided to drink something to warm him up, and it wasn't coffee.
Oh.
You understand? You understand what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
They came back. Now, Gary did. Beaver didn't, and it might not have been Beaver with him, but I know Beaver was there because his daddy was with us. But anyway, they came back after a while. They showed up, and sure enough, they bought groceries. And the first thing I grabbed was a can of sardines, and I ate the whole can before I realized what I ate. That's how.
Oh, mercy.
That's how hungry. Well, Jim McCauley handed the food, and he started to get in that bus, and he couldn't get in. He'd step on that platform, and he fell off. And I said, well, that ice is slick. And then I realized when he looked at it, yes, it is. And those eyes were rolling. I said, well, okay, here we go. He had one too many toddies.
Oh, my word. Bless his heart.
So, and that was one of those times that flavors the moment,
Yeah.
thing going. But Jim McCauley, and then he had left.
Okay.
Jim McCauley left one time.
Yeah.
And he moved to Arizona. Some about sinuses or something.
Okay.
I don't know what he was doing. He and his wife were out there. And that was in 76, because I won the Tenor of the Year.
Okay.
Well, we were in North Carolina, and he's in Arizona. There's 3 hours difference.
Yeah.
I'm in bed asleep about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Uh-oh.
And he calls me. And I answer the phone, and it's him. And again, I think he had one too many toddies. He decides he's going to congratulate me and go on and on. And I said, Jim, what time is it? And I said, it's 2 o'clock in the morning here. So anyway, he talked, and but he was a lot of fun to be with. He really was.
Goodness.
They called him. Y'all called him Mac. Is that his nickname on the bus?
They called him Mac, yeah. And like I said, every time he'd walk by, he'd have a cup of coffee on, and he'd walk by in his underwear. He wore those boxers. I just pull them down.
Because he we talked about that last week. He didn't have no backside, so
no, he had no backside.
He couldn't keep his pants up.
He'd keep going. He'd get up out of the bus. He'd get up on that morning and go to the bathroom, get him a cup of coffee, go back, and I just reach over and pull his drawers down. Of course, we had no women on the bus.
No, Lord, no, you can't have that.
But
y'all didn't never get no respect to no bass players, did you? No respect for bass players.
No, we didn't. And,
man,
but he was a pretty good singer too.
Yeah, he was.
He sang. He had a matter of fact, he would take Hamill's high notes on the end a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hamill wouldn't be able to get him whatever, so Jim McCauley would take them. And we went to West Virginia one time, and we got up there. We left the night before. We sang in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We're supposed to be in Winchester, Virginia the next day, Sunday. And Foxy got sick. Hamill got sick. And Ray Dean decided he was sick. And so we decided to keep the date.
Yeah.
So me and Nick, McCauley, Beaver, and John Broom, we went to Winchester, Virginia.
And did the date.
And we did the date. And it was Valley 4 and Linda who hosted it. And the Hopper brothers were there.
Okay.
So we got up there, and we didn't think, well, there won't be anybody here, all this snow and ice. Well, those people drive it all the time.
Oh, yeah, they nothing to them. Yeah.
It was packed out. I mean, the auditorium was full. So I went to Valley 4 and Linda and told him, I said, man, we're kind of crippled.
Yeah.
And the four of us, me and Nick and Mac, practiced some songs we could sing. Yeah. We all knew them. And then Beaver would sing one. Okay. And so we got up there. The boy, Lee Childers, was Chilton. I think it's in there. He was singing bass. So I asked Claude Hopper if I could borrow Lee. I said, man, we're hurting. Y'all going last. They had us on last. I said, I told them, I said, y'all need to go last because y'all will wear us out. And so we're crippled. And he said, yeah, you can borrow Lee. Well, we did. And I want you to know, we got up there and we sung. We sung every song that Kingsman did. And we sung two or three times. We wound up singing, I don't know what it was, probably When I Wake Up, Sleep No More.
Yeah.
It was big. And Lee was singing bass. And we sung that two or three times. We got ready to sing the second half. Listen, sold every record we had on that bus that day.
Wow.
Everything we had on that bus. And the second half, Claude would not let us use Lee.
Really?
He would not let. He said, you can't use my bass singer no more. You make me work like it. So we
too big of a hit.
And of course, it was a short second half. And we did a song that the old Imperials used to do. Remember Sweet, Sweet Spirit?
Yeah.
So the three of us sung it a cappella. It's the only song we'd practiced.
Okay.
And man, that thing went over great.
Wow.
How we ended up. And so all the band, and of course Beaver or Gary, as everybody knew, but I knew him as Beaver. You know, he was one of those guys that he was class.
Absolutely.
And he was just a great guy. The whole band.
And could play anything.
Oh, yeah. He got better. When we hired him, he only played steel, but he just kept on adding stuff. Mm-hmm. And Gary was such a good kid. He really was. He came to see me later when I was pastoring up in northwest Arkansas.
Okay.
He was on his way out to Springdale because he taught therapy.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
He called me and he said, how far you live from here? I told him, I said, we had lunch. My wife and I drove up and had lunch with him. And I really appreciate that because I always liked Gary. Gary was a guy. And so all of our band members were great guys.
Yeah.
We didn't have a feud, anything like that with anyone.
Wonderful.
But the band was some of my favorite people, though. We got up there and we sung just like we'd been singing all of our lives together. And I want you to know those people ate it up. Now,
wow, that's awesome.
Do it again, but
well, and that's the thing about Kingsman that kind of was the mindset when you were there, and even years later when I was there, you had to do whatever you had to do.
Exactly.
And sometimes you get up and somebody's not feeling well, or somebody's not even going to be there. You figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, and sometimes you get, like we sang at Winston-Salem one time, Sunday afternoon, and that's in the days when they used to put on the billboards or the signs out front. It would say, in our days, it would say the Goodmans, Inspirations, and others. We were
others.
we were the others, and so we were singing that Sunday afternoon, and we'd run out of songs, and so Hamill just said, "You got a request?" And Foxy's going, "Oh Lord, here we go." And somebody said, "Can you do I'll Meet You in the Morning?" And Hamill turned around and looked at me, and he said, "You know that song?" I said, "Yes, sir." So impromptu, and that Days of Baby, we sung that song. We sang it 2 or 3 times before it's all over with.
Wow.
Yeah, just one of those moments, and so. Then we got to change our name from Others to Kingsman. So.
Others to Kingsman.
But it's like you said, sometimes you just had to sing a song impromptu and make up words.
Yeah.
And I've done that.
Okay, let me ask you, can you make up words if you forget the words? I cannot. If I forget the words to a song, man, I'll go blank, and whatever I say will not make any sense. So can you make up words, Johnny?
Sometimes, if I'm coming on. But usually... We were singing one time in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
The crowd was so big, it was Cook Convention Center then.
Yeah.
And the crowd was so big, they had to open up the other portion.
Okay.
And so you'd go from side to side and sing. And we had a song called Walk in the Sea.
Yeah.
Remember that song?
Yeah.
We sang that, and we'd sung it I don't know how many times. And I had the last verse.
Yeah.
Go into it. Now we take off singing. Now right in the middle of that verse, son, my mind goes just as blank as that wall. And I just stood there and looked at him. That's bad. But the worst time that ever happened to me, I was doing a revival later on, years later, and I was singing a song down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah.
And singing side to side, sing a song, and it was a slow song. Right in the middle of it, I forgot the words. So I just did like we do in the Kingsman days, testify. Slow song, and there, oh my dear old mama, you're making this stuff up because you forgot the words. So that's what I did. And the preacher came to me and he said, "You forgot the words of that song, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes, sir, but that ain't half of it. I wrote that song."
That's even worse when you write it.
Yeah, that really happened.
Oh man.
So let me ask you about Big Jim, Johnny. What were some of your thoughts on Big Jim?
Jim was one of those kind of guys that you you either hated him or loved him.
Yeah.
According to some people. Me, I just liked him. No. Hamill was, he ran the stage.
Yeah.
And of course, as I look back, I can understand some things more so than I did then.
Yeah.
But we all, if anybody had tense moments, it would have been with Jim. And I don't mean that throwing it down or anything like that, because somebody come in a bad mood or something like that, And I told you one time before, Jim was one of those kind of guys that liked to dish things out, but he couldn't take it. Well, he had to learn to take it, and he did. And I told you that in a phone call.
Yeah.
And but Jim was a quartet man. As long as you were part of that group, it didn't matter if you didn't get along that day. If somebody was picking on you, he'd be the first to stand by your side and take up.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he looked out for his group. I promise that. I never worried about anything, and if he would look at me or he would say, "Parrack, sing this song," or whatever. And sometimes I had to sing a song I didn't know, or we had something different, or if he didn't. And so there was never we would have words against one another. I mean, but it
Yeah.
never was a long drawn out thing. Yeah, I mean, we didn't have I enjoyed singing. He was one of those guys that had sung full time. I'd heard him sing when I was a kid. So when
Yeah.
I was standing on stage with him, I'm standing on the guy you sang with Oak Ridge or Blue
Yeah.
or Rebels. He sang with so many groups, So, but Jim he tried to come across harder than he was, I think.
Yeah.
And in the early days he did, and he would rub you the wrong way if you let him. But
Yeah.
but it down deep, it wasn't that way.
Yeah.
The longer we sang together, the closer we got.
Good.
And so, like I said, we never had a long running battle
Okay.
with one another. We were never at war where we hated one another's guts. We would stand up for one another.
Good.
And it never was that way. We had a lot of fun. If another group, like in those days of Cutthroat, and I'm not going to name any groups that did that.
Yeah.
But they'd turn the mic off in the house, but leave it on in the monitor so you wouldn't know you weren't being heard. And that happened. That's happened to us several times. And Hamill would always take care of that situation. He wouldn't. I mean, he defended you.
Yeah.
So that my thoughts on him. He was a hard man, but he was still a good guy. I could have called him anytime.
Yeah.
And if I needed him.
That's wonderful.
So we played golf together on the road. I never saw him during the week.
Yeah.
I never went to his house other than to practice one time.
Okay.
I went by there, but I never went to his house to visit him and his wife Jan. I knew his wife Jan, but it was that way when we got off the road.
Yeah.
We didn't go out and eat when we were together. We came home. We were home. We respected our private lives.
Right.
So it was good that way.
And that not just about Hamill, but even most quartet men, when they get home, they're with their families. They're not going to see the other guys until it's time to leave out again, unless you're working on an album. Because,
exactly right.
Like you said, most time you've got 3 days at home and you've got to leave out again. And,
And a lot of times when we go to Nashville to record an album, especially with Marvin Norcross, you're going to be there at least 2 days because he didn't want you recording in one day. He wanted it right. And so we got to take our wives.
Yeah.
And so that helped,
Yeah.
And, so we never had Hamill. Like I say, Hamill was not my closest friend on the bus, but I knew I could depend on him. We could cut up and laugh.
Yeah.
We might go crawl into bed with him or something like that, just rip out or something like that. So we were always joking and stuff. So I can't just, and that we'd do that with anybody.
Yeah.
On the bus. We just wanted to have a good time.
Well, how about Foxy?
Foxy was the kind of guy, he'd give his shirt off his back.
Yeah.
Even when he didn't have it. And I like, but Foxy he was my boss. He was, he'd sign my check and he'd do anything for you. I always enjoyed going to his house. He and Juanita, we went to his house quite often. And he had a pool table in his house. And when I bought my new house, he gave me that pool table. And he said, that's yours as long as you're part of this quartet. Okay. So I took that pool table to my house because I love to shoot pools. And, But I could call Foxy and say, Foxy, I need some money.
Yeah.
He'd go get it, just like that. Foxy was a cool dude. He was great to work with and great to work for. And always took care of us.
Yeah.
He'd do the best he could, took care of us.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure that, in the quartet world, and I'm sure you've heard about it too, there's been a lot of quartets where the weeks might be a little bit lean and, well, guys, we'll have to get you next week or to get you next week after that. And that pay never comes. And that's one thing I'll say about Fox. He always took care of us and took care of my family. And I'm forever in debt for that, I
never missed a check. One time, a check bounced and he said, that's my fault. I changed the banks and didn't get it there in time, but he made it up for it right then. I never missed a paycheck.
Wow. Well, how about Squire? How about Squire?
Squire was he was a gentleman. He came, I think it was in '74. He was teaching school, so he had to finish his contract. So he didn't join us until late, mid, summer '74, I think it was. And Squire was a great guy. Um, he was a gentleman, and now he and his wife, me and my wife, we go bowl together.
Okay.
So we had a good time with them. Squire, they had 4 kids, or they wound up having 4 kids. We wound up having 4 kids. We had one at the time. Our second was born there, and Squire's second one was born there. So we were pretty close.
Yeah.
There wasn't but a couple of years difference in our age, and Linda and so we kind of we went out to eat. We did a lot of things together, and I enjoyed traveling with Squire.
Yeah,
great guy.
Okay.
Y'all, this has been another great episode. Before we leave in closing, Johnny, just tell us what you're doing now. If you're doing any solo work, if you're out singing and preaching, just talk a little bit about that, please, sir.
Well, I'm pastoring a church, and I'm living in Jacksonville, Alabama. I've been here nearly 2 years, and I live next door to my son. I'm not sure that's a good thing. I mean, I've always said I raised him for 18 years, so I'm going to move up here and let him take care of me. Well, that's
a good idea.
my wife still thinks we're supposed to take care of him. And so, but anyway, I'm pastoring a church. I haven't done, and I'm preaching. I love to preach revivals, and I'll sing once in a while. I haven't done a concert since I left my last church.
Okay.
And not solo. I've done a lot of solo concerts. I did that for years, and even after I went pastoring, I still did it. But by and large, I got a request here just a day or two ago, and this church won't be come up and do one. So I'm going to try to work it out, and I'm going to go do one for them. I hadn't done that in a long time, so I'm going to do that.
Good.
But what I'm doing since I got off the road, I went solo for about 12 years in evangelism, and I surrendered to preach during that time. And during that, then I began to study. And then when I did that, I began to study in Bible school and seminary, and then I started pastoring, and I finished my degree that I wanted to finish. And so here I am. I'm in, and I'm loving it. I love to preach. I really do. And I still like to sing once in a while.
That's in your blood. You can't get that out of your blood.
Can't help it.
Can't help it. Just can't help it.
Oh,
well, Johnny, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, man.
I've enjoyed this, guys.
It's been an honor just talking to you and hear some funny stories that I'd never heard before, and that we appreciate you joining us on the podcast, and appreciate your friendship all these years, and appreciate the years you gave to the Kingsmen and gospel music, and most of all your dedication to the Lord and your dedication to His kingdom, and I love it when you get to talk to gentlemen like yourself who have a heart for people, have a heart for Jesus, and I appreciate that more than you realize.
Well, I appreciate that. I do. And Josh, it's good to meet you. And the next time you see me in Walmart, just come on up and speak to me.
Yeah,
that's right, Josh.
Yeah, we'll speak about that. As a big Kingsman fan, I remember Jay Parrack, Johnny's son, was minister of music down here in Fitzgerald, Georgia, my hometown at Arbor Baptist Church. I can't remember exactly the year, but I remember one year, it might have been around Christmas time thereabouts, and I remember seeing Jay and Johnny walking around Walmart, and I was a Kingsman fan. I was like, is that Johnny Parrack, the Johnny Parrack with Jay Parrack? Because I knew Jay Parrack was already there. I said, let me go talk to him. I said, nah, they they're doing their own thing. I don't want to go bother them. But I was like, man, that's too cool right here in Fitzgerald, Georgia, my hometown Walmart, a Kingsman legend and a Gold City legend as well, walking around in here. This is too cool. Yeah.
Yeah. You could have got their autograph, Josh.
Yeah, could have got a picture made. I think I might have had a cell phone back then. Who knows? There ain't no telling.
Well, reason we was in Walmart to get away from the chickens walking down through.
Yeah, wild chickens. Brian knows about them wild chickens here in Fitzgerald.
I do. Yeah. I do know about the wild chickens.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Everyone, we appreciate y'all joining us on this great episode of Behind the Crown podcast with our legendary guest, Johnny Parrack. Feel free to share this episode on your Facebook page. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube as well. The video will be on YouTube, and we also have a Facebook page. But look for us on there and just reach out to us. And if you got any questions you would like to ask any guests each week, just send them to us. We'll ask them. But Johnny, we appreciate you, sir, for doing this for us. Appreciate you.
Hey, doing it. I really have. I've enjoyed it, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully, Bryan, we'll get him back on maybe later, and some other
That'd be
guys and
great.
talk about Big and Live and some of those albums.
Yeah, we'll do that. We want to maybe do one special episode about some of the live albums. We'd love to have some behind the scenes stories about Big and Live. We'd love that.
Yeah. Well, we can do that.
All right.
That's right.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Behind the Crown podcast with your hosts, Bryan Hutson and Josh Griffin. If you would, please like, rate, and share this episode. Join us again for another episode of the Behind the Crown podcast.